Chapter 14, Rufilla. So in this chapter, we saw adjectives. We've seen adjectives all along, but now we've learned more about adjectives. Seen there are two declensions of adjectives, the first and the second. And the third, we talked about how they match with they match the word they modify in gender, number, and case, right? And what that means for the form of the adjective. We'll look at examples of adjectives in this in the light blue underlining. So the adjectives are underlined in light blue, so we'll look at those. Also, we saw the ablative case, right? That last major case I told you that was coming up. And the only use you have to know for the ablative right now does a lot of things, but the only use you have to know right now is as the object of the sid space prepositions that we talked about, right? Subende, sine, proab, cum ex. Right, so those are underlined in yellow, so we see examples of those. Right? And of course, the verbs are in red. Right, so let's go right up to the italics. So Rufilla and cubiculo sedet, the verb is sedet, sits, who sits, the nominative Rufilla. Rufilla sits in cubiculo. So cubiculo is ablative. In is a sit space, and it's that one, as we talked about, that commonly takes the accusative or the ablative. When it takes the accusative, it means into or onto. With the ablative, it means in or on. Right? So I walk into the accusative. I walk on the ablative or in the ablative. Right? So Rufilla sits in the bedroom. Duae ornatrices prope am stant acrines component. Right? So two hairdressers. All right, here's our first adjective. So number two, right, and not all numbers will take endings, but this one does. So we can just call it, treat it as the other adjectives. So it agrees to ornatrices in gender, number, and case. So ornatrices is feminine, so it takes the first declension ending, and it's nominative plural, so nominative plural, first declension ending, AE on duae. So two hairdressers, stand, prope am. Prope not a sid space, so it takes the accusative, near her. And they components, they are arrange, compose, crines, her hair, right? It's a plural in Latin, singular in English, but we have more than one hair on our head, hopefully most of us. So makes sense for it to be plural, but in English it's just a singular, we say hair. So salves intra, pretty straightforward. Salves enters. Rufilla, okay. Simulacra am conspexit, that's between the commas. So what does Rufilla do? Rufilla ornatrices e cubiculo dimitit. So Rufilla dismisses the accusative, ornatrices, the hairdressers, e cubiculo. The letter E is short for EX, right? Which is a sid space, so it takes the ablative, cubiculo, from the bedroom, dismisses him from the bedroom. When? As soon as she saw him. Conspexit. X tells me is perfect, of course. So as soon as she saw him, that is salvius. Rufilla says sawi. Right, this is the vocative directed address for salvius. We'll talk about the vocative in a upcoming chapter pretty soon. So salvius, she says, vir crudelis es. So S, right? Don't forget S. It's you are, right? Sum I am. S you are. Est, here she is. So you are a vir crudelis, a cruel man. Crudelis, a third declension adjective. The nominative singular with third declension adjective, like a third declension noun, it might be unpredictable, but a lot of them would be is when they're modifying a feminine or a masculine, and e when modifying a neuter. Right? They haven't talked about neuters yet, but you'll see that. So is is a common nominative singular ending for a third declension adjective. So you are a vir crudelis. You are a cruel man. Like you're a cruel man. Kind of sounds like cruel. Ego ad hanc velum venire nolebam. So ego nolebam. So remember the verb nolo. This is the imperfect. Nolebam. I was not wanting. To do the complementary infinitive, venire, to come. Right? Fourth conjugation, ire, to come, ad hanc velum, to this house. In orbe Londinio manere volebam. So I volebam, I was wanting, or I wanted, manere, to remain. That's our complementary infinitive, completing a thought of volebam. I wanted to do what? To remain in orbe Londinio. So here in is in, it's not into, so it takes the ablative. It's a a space. So in the city of London, right? So when London was Londinium, a Roman city. Londinium est orbs pulcherrima. So London is a very beautiful city. So this is a superlative adjective. And superlative adjectives are first and second declension adjectives, right? Remember, most of the regular ones have double S's, but some have double R's, or even a few have double L's. Some has double R's, right? So pulcherrima instead of pulchissima, or that would be. So it's a very beautiful city, right? So it's going to agree with orbs. Orbs is feminine, so it takes a first declension ending, and it's noun singular, so A. Ubi multas amicas habeo. So where habeo, where I have multas amicas. So multas here, a first and second adjective. It's modifying a feminine, so it takes a first declension ending, AS, and it's got to agree in case and number as well. So multas amicas. When a first and second adjective modifies a first or second noun, usually the endings will match. There are exceptions though. So we may or may not have already talked about there are certain masculine first declensions. So jobs that were usually done by men in antiquity, like being a pirate, a pirata, or a poet, poeta, or nauta, a sailor, agricola, a farmer. Those are masculine nouns. Also, if it's a guy's name, like the Emperor Galba, it's going to be a masculine noun. So there are some masculine first declensions. So the endings won't always match, but frequently they will. So multas amicas, many friends. Difficula est mihi amicus relinquere. This is a pattern you want to get used to. So we have is, it is difficula, which is an adjective, right? It's the adjective of a dummy it, right? An imagined it. It is difficult, right? So it is the adjective. Then there's the dative. It is the adjective for the dative. So it is difficult for me to do the infinitive, relinquere. So it is the adjective for the dative to do the infinitive. You'll see this pattern a lot of times throughout the Cambridge series, right? And in real Latin. So it is difficult for me to leave my friends, right? You want to get used to that pattern. We'll see it again just immediately below here. Non decorum est matronae Romanae sine amicis habitare. So again, it is the adjective decorum for the dative matronae Romanae, that's dative here, to do the infinitive, to habitare, to live sine amicis, right? So here, decorum, just like difficula, it's modifying a dummy it, so it is decorum, it is, or a non-decorum here, it's not fitting, it's not right. For the dative, so matrona romana here is dative for a Roman matron to do the infinitive, to live without friends. Sine is a sit space, which takes the ablative, so amicis is ablative. Rufilla, quam lewis est. So quam here, we saw quam with a comparative. That it usually means than, right? We've seen it with superlatives, in which it makes it express as blank as possible. So quam celerem as quickly as possible. With a positive, quam normally means like how. So quam lewis, how light or changeable you are. Right? Ubi in orbe Londinio habitabamus. So ubi when, right? Remember, ubi could be where or when, but I didn't just mention a place, so when's probably going to sound better. When habitabamus, we were living. BA tells me it's imperfect, so when we were living in orbe Londinio. So here it's not into, it's just in, so it's a sit space, so it takes the ablative, right? In the city of London. Notice they don't say it's not ablative plus jed of the city of London. It's both words are put in the ablative. In English, we'll say the city of London, right? We haven't even seen the genitive yet, have we? All right, so when we were living in the city of London. Yeah, so I have to take back what I said before. There's actually one more case you haven't seen. We haven't done the genitive yet. One more of the major cases you haven't seen, the genitive case, right? Once you covered that, we've done the 5 major cases, and we just have to do the locative and vocative in the upcoming years. No big deal at all for them. So when we were living in the city of London, every day, veniebas ad me, every day you would come to me, right? So repeated action in the past, imperfect. So every day you would come to me. Every day, mihi ita dikebas. Every day you would say, dikebas, you would say or you would speak. Mihi to me, Ita means thus or in this way. So you would speak to me thus or in this way. Sempronia, amica mea. Sempronia, my friend. Here, the possessive my word here is an adjective. It's a first and second adjective. It's modifying a feminine, so it takes a first declension ending, and it's nominative singular. S fortunatior. So a comparative adjective, right, when it's nominative singular, it just takes IOR. So no ending needed. And then with a comparative, qua means than. So Sempronia, my friend, is more fortunate, luckier than I. Maritum optimum habit. She has the best husband. So another superlative adjective here. Remember, they are first and second adjectives. So optimum's got to agree with maritum. It's masculine, so it takes a second declension ending. And of course, it's accusative and singular. So maritum optimum. And the endings match here easily. Meritus a res pretiosa semper dat. Right, so the verb is gives. The nominative is meritus, so her husband. Semper dat always gives. The accusative res preciosas, expensive things or pricey things. So preciosas here are first and second adjective. Res is feminine, so it takes a first declension ending, and it's accusative and plural. So res preciosas. A is dative to her, right? That's from those is, a, it pronouns I mentioned before, and we'll see those in the upcoming chapter. So A is to him, or could be to him or to her. Right here, it's to her, obviously. So her husband always gives expensive things to her. Right? I have to imagine Sally is using a comical, high-pitched voice here as he imitates his wife, because this argument's not going to go well for him. So he's probably not really smoothing things over here. So Wilam rusicam a promisit. So promisit, he promised. Right? He promised. It's perfect tense because it comes from promitto. So the is here is a clue, a stem clue. Right, so promitit would be the present form. So he promised, there's a again, to her, promised her a Wilam rusicam, a country house. So Wilam rusicam is a first and second adjective. It takes a first declension accusative singular ending here because it's modifying a feminine accusative singular. I also want Wolo, the complementary infinitive, habere, second conjugation. I also want to have a Wilam rusicam, a country house. Said to mihi nihil das, but you, das, you give nihil nothing mihi to me. Right? Nihil we've talked about before is indeclinable, so it doesn't take an ending, but the context normally clearly indicates what case it should be taken as. So here it's accused of the object of das, right? Direct object. You give nothing to me, the indirect object. Finally, dedi, I gave, right? The reduplicated consonant there is a clue that is perfect. So I gave, and this verb, as we've mentioned many times, takes the accusative and a dative. So I gave the accusative, a Wilam rusicam, a country house, TV to you. Sed etiam nunc non est contenta. But even now, etiam nunc, S, remember you are, right? Don't forget S. Some reading students forget S around this time. You are not contenta, content. Right? He's talking to Rufilla here, who is feminist, or the adjective contenta has a first declension ending, right? Because it's modifying Rufilla. So speaking of Rufilla, she says, "Sed ego prope orbem habitare volevam, haec villa ab orbe longe abest." So, but I, volevam, was wanting to do the complementary infinitive, habitare, first conjugation, right? I was wanting to live near the city, prope not a sit space, which takes the accusative. Haec villa ab orbe longe abest. So this house, abest, it is away, right? Don't confuse that with ad est. It's just the opposite. It is away. It is longe away. It's far away. Ab orbe, right? This is a pattern I may have mentioned before, where in Latin you'll have a prefix on the verb and you have the same thing essentially as a preposition. You don't have to translate it twice. It's one idea. So it's a long way from the city. It's good enough. Orbe here, ablative because ab, which can also be just a if it's in front of a consonant, is a such space, which takes the ablative. So orbe, a third declension ablative here. Tu ipsa hanc velam eligisti. So words like ipsa and hanc, so they're pronouns and they're acting as adjectives here, but we're not going to talk about them until later once we've seen those charts. So we're skipping those, but not the meaning, right? So tu ipsa, you yourself, eligisti, chose hanc velam. So eligisti, we know it's perfect, right? Because of that isti ending, right? Eligo. From this verb, we get the word elect, right? Its perfect passive participle, a form you see in chapter 21, is electus. So ye yourself chose this Whelam, this house. Ego, so I, okay, this is interrupted by quampam pretiam magnum erat. So although the price was magnum, great. Here, magnum is modifying price. Which is actually neuter here, but it doesn't really matter because it still takes a second declension accusative singular ending here, so the form doesn't look odd to you at this point. Neuters we'll see real soon. So although the price was great, Amy, right, perfect sense, I bought. The I means it's the pronoun I form. I bought it, right? Am looks like her, but we're talking about a feminine word, so it takes a feminine pronoun. So it being the house. Leventure, gladly or freely. None, surely. Surely this house is elegant, right? That's a third declension adjective, right? Modifying the house. Okay, a third declension adjective for now. No big deal. We don't have to worry about gender so much. It's just going to take a third declension ending, and it's elegans, whether it's masculine or feminine in the nominative singular. So surely this house is elegant. Surely also magnifica. Here, magnifica is a first and second adjective, so it takes a first declension ending, what's modifying the feminine vila. Right, the endings match there, so again, that's helpful. Said Hiams Yam Apropinquat. So, but winter now is approaching. Hiams can also mean storm, which makes sense because a lot of storms happen in the winter on the Mediterranean. So, but winter now is approaching. Of course, we're nowhere near the Mediterranean now. We're in Roman Britain, right? Amici mei. So, my friends. Amici is feminine, so mei takes the first declension ending, and it's also nominative plural. So, my friends, always hiamant winter. Spend the winter in orbe in the city. In here is a sit space, so the ablative orbe in the city. All right, here's that pattern again you want to get down. So it's not commodum, it's not appropriate or convenient for me to spend the winter in the house. So it is the adjective, or in this case, not the adjective, for the dative to do the infinitive. And again, it is fitting, decorum, for me to spend the winter with my friends. Right, so it is the adjective, decorum, it is right or fitting for the dative, for me to spend the winter cum amicis, with friends. I am a Roman matron, right? Matrona, of course, feminine, so a first declension ending on Romana. Non postum, I'm not able to visitare, to visit meas amicas, my friends, right? So amicas, feminine, accusative, plural, so meas. In hoc loco solo sum, so I am alone in hoc loco, in this place, right? Hoc is ablative. We haven't seen that chart yet. The loco is a second declension ablative singular, right? That form you should recognize. So I am alone in this place. What did you say? Quid existi? Right? Perfect tense. Isti tells us also the X is a stem clue. So what did you say? You are sola, alone, right? A first declension ending because he's referring to Rufilla, a feminine. You have 10 female slaves, right? Decum does not decline, so it's not going to take an ending. 9 male slaves, 2 hairdressers, an Egyptian cook, ... And Rufilla breaks in, Emeritum durum crudelum, so, and a harsh and cruel husband. Nihil intelligus, you understand nothing. Nihil curas, you care nothing. Exit Lacaman, she goes out crying. So that's Rufilla, she's kind of a pill. Right? Fortunately, we won't see too much of her. All right, so hopefully you enjoy that introduction to Rufilla. All right, until next time.